G'day viewers, I had a request for a bit of information on a comment on one of my other videos from somebody that wants to know information about towing with the Lexus LX570. So I thought it was quicker just to make a video and maybe help some other people out. The main advantages that I find over the Toyota LandCruiser is a couple of features that the car has that are different, but it does have the disadvantage of less payload, which I'll go into a bit later. But anyway, the main advantage that I find is to do with the name LX570. It's actually got a 5.7 litre quad cam V8, a 270 kilowatt V8. The main advantage that has over the 4.7 litre that's normally in the LandCruiser here in Australia and some other parts of the world is that it's a chain-driven camshafts in this engine with variable valve timing, so you don't have to do the belt changes every 100,000 kilometres, and it's also quite a bit more powerful and apparently 8% better fuel economy, but they do have pretty bad fuel economy. So yeah, that's one of the big advantages with the 5.7 litre engine. And I'll just go on to show you a couple of other things. So there's the big 5.7 litre V8. They normally have nice covers all around here, and it just looks like a lovely engine bay. Mine's dirty. I don't have the covers in here because I actually use it to put my jumper leads in there, and also I've put a secondary battery in this one, and normally the power steering reservoir resides here. I've actually relocated it and I've put a Toyota Tarago reservoir on here, and then run hydraulic hoses back down to the respective places where it connects to the power steering pump. But one of the big advantages that this car has is it's got a factory transmission cooler. So I'm not sure whether the LandCruisers actually have that or not, but that is one of the good things for towing. Another good thing that I find about this car, as I've shown on other videos, the hydraulic pneumatic suspension that you can lift the car up and down. It's quite handy when you go to hitch up the caravan. So I've backed up to the caravan at the moment. I just put in neutral for a second and let it get back up to normal height. So it takes a little while for it to raise back up. That's at normal height now. So if I put the car in reverse again, and I'll try and do this one-handed, back up to the caravan, you'll see the tow ball's going to hit because I'm too high. So if I drop the suspension there, I'll just put in neutral to let it freewheel, and then it'll drop a little bit more. Put it back in reverse. So now hopefully it should go under the drawbar of the van, and then I can just flick the little switch here and let it go back up to high. It doesn't, if you're still in reverse, sometimes it doesn't do it. I'll put the car in neutral and take my foot off the brake, and then it will start to lift. So I'll put it back in reverse now, and hopefully we'll see it lifting up under the van, maybe not. But anyway, I'll get out and I'll show you. So yeah, there you go. It's actually under the drawbar of the van. But one thing that I do is I select raise, but I also open the tailgate. You've got the button inside to open the tailgate. While any doors are open, the car won't actually lift up and down. So that gives me the opportunity, if I need to come outside, check that everything's okay, and when I want it to start lifting, all I do then is press the button, let the tailgate shut, and then hopefully we'll see this start lifting again. So now the jockey wheel's off the ground, and so now I'd be able to, in this case I have to remove the jockey wheel on this caravan, and then I'm right to go. I can just drive away. So I found that's a big advantage with the Lexus again. Same deal again when I'm taking the van off the car and I've put the jockey wheel back on and it's all ready to roll. I've got in the car again, started it up, opened the tailgate, selected low on the suspension, and now I can press the button. I'll pop out back a bit so as you can see what's going on. As soon as the tailgate shuts, the car should lower, hopefully. And then I can just drive away. So yeah, I love that. So now for the disadvantages with the Lexus. This is the caravan that we tow with it at the moment. I think it's a 21-foot LandCruiser caravan made here in Victoria. I'll just zoom in on the placard so as you can see the weights of it. So there you go, you can see the aggregate trailer mass here is 3195, so that's the most that this thing's going to weigh. And the ball mass can be as high as 350 kilos depending on how you load it. So yeah, I suppose now to get into a bit of the technicalities of towing masses, etc., that can add up to a bit of a problem with a with most four-wheel drive wagons, but particularly with the Lexus, because it's got so many extra features that add weight to it, it does lower the payload a bit, so I'll go into that. So the Lexus, it does have the same GVM, GVW, whatever you want to call it, gross vehicle mass, as the Toyota LandCruiser at 3,300 kilos, but the unfortunate thing with the Lexus is that it's got so much other sound deadening and speakers and other crap in it. The actual tare mass where you're starting out from is, I can't remember what it is, it's maybe 100 kilos heavier or something. So your actual payload in the case of the LX570 is 560 kilos, I think, from memory. So the problem that you have, as you saw with that caravan, is that the ball mass, tow ball mass on that van can be as high as 350 kilos. That 350 kilos is imposed onto your tow ball, so that becomes part of the GVW of the car, which you can't exceed, and it also goes towards the mass that's placed on your rear axle. So there's a bit of a compounding problem from that, in that, how can I explain it? 350 kilos on the tow bar will impose more than 350 kilos, maybe 1.4 times that, because of a leverage effect onto your rear axle. So you can exceed your rear axle load. So you've got to keep an eye on that, as well as that 350 kilos being imposed onto the car becomes part of the GVW. So if you're in there, you know, a couple of people and your dog, is the case that we only have, there's only two of us, the kids are grown up, and so there's only two of us go away in this car. But yeah, all of it adds up, and you can easily get up to 570 kilos if you consider that could be 350 kilos. So I've actually got the weight of that van. I have about a 270 kilo tow ball mass when it's loaded. That's how I load it up. 260, 270, so that's still part of the weight of the car. But I've found I don't use any of the rear seats. Sorry, there's a bit of crap in here from the last time I went away. I don't use any of the rear seats, so I actually remove them all, and I actually put marine carpet here on top of the other carpet, just pushed it in underneath the trims and trimmed up the tailgate, so it sort of looks pretty neat. But yeah, now we've got this massive wagon, but the problem is, so by taking the seats out, I weighed the seats, and all up that's 120 kilos. So we've gained 120 kilos that we can carry in the car. But when we had the seats in here, and we had the dog, and we had just a few items in the car, not really a whole lot of stuff, when we went over the weighbridge, we were about 40 kilos over. So it just shows how quickly it can add up. With this car doesn't have a winch or a bull bar or roof racks or anything. So there's a lot of people out there that are driving well and truly over their vehicle GVW. So yeah, in taking the seats out and everything like that, I didn't need them. I put mountain bikes in the back of here and everything, so it's actually made it a lot more handy, the car. And yeah, GVW isn't a problem anymore. So yeah, that's one of the disadvantages of the Lexus over the LandCruiser. You've probably got a little bit more up your sleeve with the LandCruiser, but once again, you can remove the seats anyway if you wanted to. Another thing that I discovered after towing with the car a few times, I was using level rides, or what do you call them, weight distribution hitch on this car. The weight distribution hitch itself is about 35 kilos heavier than just a normal standard hitch, but I found out I shouldn't be using a weight distribution hitch because this car has electronic brake force distribution. So when you put the weight distribution hitch on the back, it actually causes the car to be places weight more on the front axle. This car has axle height measurement on it, and so it can work out how much weight is actually on the back axle and change the brake force distribution front to back accordingly. And when you put the weight distribution hitch on there, you are tricking the electronics to make it think there's not so much weight on the back, so therefore it would put less brake bias on the back than what it should have. So I've since removed that, and I've done braking tests with it in the wet, and the brakes work perfectly fine. The car actually does level itself up because of the suspension. Yeah, and it tows a lot better without the weight distribution hitch. And like I said, I've got 260, 270 kilos of tow ball mass on this car. So yeah, just a bit of another trap. And just one other very, very minor thing is I have seen in the past with Toyota Land Cruisers, the reversing lights on these are different. The reversing lights are next to the number plate there, but the reversing camera, to integrate into the reversing camera, this car has I'm trying to think on the fly. Anyway, I wanted to use the standard camera, which is here on the tailgate, on the screen in the car. And what I found I had to do to switch over to the camera port here that connects to the Caravan's rear camera, I had to actually get inside here and put a relay up inside the head lining. So therefore I had to run wires down through the car to a switch on the dashboard to this relay, so as I can switch the relay to switch the video signal over from the camera here down to a cable that goes all the way down down to here, so that we could use the actual dashboard camera. I know it's a bit of a extra thing, but yeah, I just thought it's a lot easier than putting a secondary screen in the car. I've actually tried to make it so as I can switch it over to show the camera on the Caravan while we're driving along forward, but there's no way that I could trick this car to make it think that it was in reverse while we were driving forward, because I'm pretty sure that's in the Lexus it's a CAN bus signal, whereas with the LandCruiser you can actually just put a relay on the reversing lights, so that it disconnects the reversing lights but puts a 12-volt signal into the reversing light wires, and the camera will come on while you're driving forwards. But you can't do that in the Lexus, unfortunately. So yeah, we've only got it as a reversing camera as such, so that was a bit of a bummer. So yeah, that's I can't think of anything else about towing that's much different to a LandCruiser, but yeah, hopefully that'll help. I think the guy's name was Ron, who asked in the comments, and he said there's no videos that he can find on YouTube about towing with the LX570, so hopefully this can help some people out there that are thinking about using one of these for a tow vehicle. I'll catch you later.